I want to take you back to Week 10 when the Houston Texans hosted the Jacksonville Jaguars. I made an episode of Dumb Decisions about this man right here, Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen, for what he did at the end of it, which you can learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner. In short, the Texans had the ball in a goal-to-go spot, and the Jaguars had timeouts available at their disposal. The Texans also had a timeout available, so there was never any issue, none whatsoever, with getting the requisite number of plays off. The Texans had a finite end to the drive. They could only get 4 plays off because after 4 plays, you're either in the end zone or the ball is turned over on downs, and they were going to have plenty of time to run all 4 of these plays because of their timeout situation and how the clock was positioned. Meanwhile, the Jaguars could have called a timeout to get the ball back, seeing as the burden has sort of shifted to them, and while nothing really changes in a negative way for the Texans if they take time off the clock, if time comes off the clock for the Jaguars and the Texans are able to succeed on this drive, the Jaguars are now screwed and have fewer plays to work with. Sure enough, the Jaguars don't recognize the situation. Liam Cohen does not take a timeout. The Texans score the game-winning touchdown with little time left, and now the Jaguars have no chance to do anything with the ball, barring a miracle. The Jaguars just lost an entire possession that they could have used, and they did it because they had no understanding of how finite endings worked, how goal-to-go situations worked, and how to use their timeouts properly. And sure enough, the very next game that the Houston Texans play at home, not even 11 days later, this happened again.
Mills hangs in there, throws, caught. Kirk on the run. To the outside, he goes, Christian Kirk.
All right, the Texans are now in a goal-to-go spot. There are 37 seconds left. If you're this man right here, and you're head coach Sean McDermott, you've got 2 timeouts available at your disposal with a running clock. You'd figure that it makes the most sense to take a timeout now, seeing as the Texans will easily be able to get 4 plays off in 37 seconds with a timeout available, and seeing as there's a finite ending to the drive that prevents the Texans from being able to run more than 4 plays. So naturally, what does Sean McDermott decide to do?
Kirk, the man who scored the touchdown. Here comes the pass in the corner, turning around.
Nope, not gonna take a timeout. Just not gonna do it. No chance to get the ball back. No chance to double dip. No chance to go momentum going into the halftime break. Nothing. Just let that clock run all the way down like it's no one's business. Definitely won't backfire in any way whatsoever.
Mills to the end zone. Caught, touchdown.
You know what's coming? Welcome to Dumb Decisions. Before I break down what happened here, this whole series is about taking an in-depth look at decisions made during games that were clearly awful from the start. This isn't something look bad in hindsight. Rather, this is something look awful almost immediately. These are moves where your gut instinct tells you right away that there is no way this could possibly work. And sure enough, your gut instinct was smarter than that of an NFL head coach. And for this one, we're taking a look at the mind of Buffalo Bills head coach Sean McDermott. The Bills have never been able to get over the hump since McDermott took over, and there always seems to be something holding them back from finally getting to the Super Bowl. That something is, quite clearly, their head coach. Because I feel as if I made 20,000 videos of dumb decisions about this man right here and his inability to coach a game, one of which you can learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner. Heck, this isn't even the first time I've done an episode of Dumb Decisions on McDermott in a road loss to the Houston Texans, as you can learn more about that by clicking the card in the upper right corner. And while no one grilled him or asked him about this in the post-game press conference afterwards, seeing as there were a lot of other things that went wrong for Buffalo, and seeing as the locker room resembled that of a morgue with all the injuries that the Bills suffered, I'm gonna grill him here. Maybe there's a day where coaches will understand how to call timeouts. Today is quite clearly not that day. So with that being said, let's take a look at why not calling a timeout with 37 seconds left and the Texans in a goal-to-go spot is a really bad idea. When it comes to the Texans, you don't have to worry about time running out for them. they can only call 4 plays max. They have the first and goal play, the second and goal play, the third and goal play, and the fourth and goal play. After that, either they find the end zone and score, or they get stopped and they don't score. Either way, after 4 plays, you are getting the ball back. And if the Texans had no timeouts, believe me, I get the logic here. If the Texans had no timeouts, and you figure they're not going to be able to run a play and get to the line until there's roughly 16 seconds left, and you force an intentional grounding with a 10-second runoff, or get a sack, or they do something that keeps the ball in bounds, thereby ending the half of the score that's currently at, there is a risk-reward analysis that you can do that definitely weighs in favor of not taking a timeout there and just letting the situation play itself out. Because even if you aren't maximizing your potential possession with the ball, you're preventing the opponent from maximizing theirs. I'd also get it if the Texans were not in a goal-to-go spot. If this play brought them down to, let's say, the 15-yard line, then the Texans don't have to have the drive in 4 plays max, and they might actually run out of time to try and reach the end zone. So there are situations where what McDermott did here was smart, and there are situations where Sean McDermott's timeout management would be appropriate. This one was not one of them at all. I know you might think that the Texans have 37 seconds to run 4 plays, but in reality, because football is not like hockey and the play is not over just because the clock hit 0, the Texans have 36 seconds to run 3 plays, and they have a timeout. Because as long as the Texans snap the 4th down play with 1 second left on the clock, it's good. There is no universe where the Texans are going to be pressed for time here. There is no realistic scenario where Houston runs out of time to get something on the drive. I don't see a single universe where the Texans are unable to get a snap off or have to waste a play spiking the football because the clock is an issue. With the finite ending to the drive, with the amount of time left, and with the security blanket that the Texans have with their timeout, the Texans are going to be able to maximize the number of plays on this drive, whether or not you call timeout. So wouldn't it make sense, if you're this man right here in Sean McDermott, to try and get a possession yourself? If the clock isn't relevant to the Texans, but is relevant to you, then shouldn't you try and use the clock in your favor? And before you come at me saying that this is hindsight bias, and I'm only saying that because of XYZ, I should note that I stream all of the primetime games on this channel. So I was live when this game was taking place, and was live when Sean McDermott decided to not take his timeout to try and get the ball back. Take a listen to what I had to say about McDermott and imagine my frustration and awe once I realized that he wasn't going to stop the clock and was just not going to take advantage of a potential double dip scenario, a la what Dan Campbell did on Sunday against the Philadelphia Eagles at the end of the first half of that game, which you can learn more about by clicking the card in the upper right corner. Take a gander at this.
Mills. Slant pass, that's caught, first down to the 30. Kirk to the 25-20. Kirk to the 15-10. And he's down at the 8-line. Clock is running. Buffalo called timeout here. Buffalo called timeout. Buffalo called timeout. Christian Kirk, they're... Oh my God, they're not calling timeout. Oh, jeez, McDermott. I don't think they're calling timeout. I don't think Buffalo's taking a timeout. They got 2 left. I don't... There's a finite end to the drive. I don't think they're taking one here. They're not. They're not taking a timeout. I cannot believe McDermott did not take a timeout. Why would you not get a possession? Oh my goodness, McDermott.
If you call a timeout here, knowing that there's no material change in what happens with the Texans, what do you have to lose? Nothing. What do you have to gain? Everything. Remember, the Texans have a timeout, but just one timeout. What that means is that if you decide that you don't want to push the ball down the field if you get it back, you don't have to. If you realize that this situation might be going poorly for you, you don't have to give the Texans another opportunity to score. You get all of the benefits without any of the downsides. If you start the drive backed up because of a holding penalty on the return, or you throw an incompletion, or get sacked on first down, and you decide that you want to wave the white flag and just go into the half, guess what? You can do that. But if you get a big play on first down, or you get another huge kickoff return like the last touchdown, or the Texans kick it into the end zone and give you the ball at the 35-yard line, and you only need 20 yards to get into field goal range, which, by the way, that's exactly what ended up happening, you can take that chance and get an extra possession that you would not have otherwise gotten. Football is a game of possessions, and against arguably the best defense in football, or at the very least, the best when it comes to points allowed and yards allowed, I'm trying to get as many realistic chances as feasibly possible to score. If you don't want to do anything with it, you don't have to, but you might as well give yourself that opportunity if it arises, especially when it comes at no cost to you, especially when you've already busted off a huge kickoff return touchdown, and especially when you've got a quarterback on your side who is literally the reigning MVP of the league. Just to recap what it feels like we've gone over at least twice a week this season, because coaches still somehow get this basic principle wrong. In the scenario where you take a timeout, the Texans are able to get 4 plays off. In the scenario where you don't take a timeout, the Texans are able to get 4 plays off. However, in the scenario where you take a timeout, you have a chance to score and do something with the ball. While in the scenario where you don't take a timeout, you do not have a chance to score and do something with the ball. All signs would lean in favor of calling the timeout then, right? In both scenarios, nothing changes for the Texans, so that cancels out. But in one scenario, everything works in your favor. And in the other scenario, everything does not work in your favor. So why wouldn't you take the scenario where everything works in your favor? Not taking that is beyond me. But that sums up Sean McDermott's tenure as of late in Buffalo. There have been so many questionable in-game management decisions. There have been so many errors that are seemingly unforced. And especially seeing as the Bills literally drove down the field against the Ravens earlier in the year on one of these added possessions that they got late in the half, there have been so many contradictory moments with McDermott and his logic. Maybe nothing changes. Maybe the Bills get 3 points on their drive that they got because of good timeout management, and it changes their entire 4th down strategy late. Whatever the case, it's all hypotheticals. We don't know what the Bills would have done in this spot. What we do know is that the Bills lost this game, are about to lose the division barring anything crazy, and find themselves in a mess of a spot because Sean McDermott has been coaching these games, these close games rather, in the words of Frank the Tank, like a feeble loser. So what do we learn from all this? Know when to call a timeout. If you are a coach on an NFL sideline, you need to know how and when to call a timeout. Finite ending to the drive, where the other team can still stop the clock and isn't pressed for time in any way, take the timeout. No risk to you, because the other team can't touch the ball again if you decide to not do anything and reverse course and just run the ball or take a knee, take the timeout. These coaches are absolutely killing me this year, and Sean McDermott is no exception. Maybe one of these days he'll get it. Maybe one of these days against the Texans, he'll be able to make this work. This Thursday night in November of 2025 was not one of those days. Because when all these elements are in play, you can't exactly be surprised when this play backfires. Talk about a dumb decision. Check out our live streaming schedule for the next few days. We're live every single day on this channel, whether we're covering a sporting event or playing GeoGuessr or just taking your requests. So make sure you like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss a single time that we go live and so that you can join this community. Also, thanks to all our members and our Patreon supporters who get exclusive perks like their name of the end of each video, members-only Q&A streams, and cool emojis to use on videos and during streams. See how you can join this community and become a member or a Patreon member by clicking the link in the description below.